Good overnight. Welcome back in for part 3 of From Day 1, the Lilith Brawl Dark Matter edition. Without further ado, let's get to the Dr. Steven Greer, talking about ETs and extraterrestrials, while we fight the Lilith Brawl.
I had it confirmed to me by my multiple independent folks, and one of the reasons that Neil Armstrong did not appear in public much is that he did not want to deceive through the secrecy the public on what really happened. He was very uncomfortable with that, and that's why he became kind of reclusive and gave very few public appearances during his lifetime after he landed on the moon in 1969. And I think that Buzz Aldrin had a hard time coping with it also, and I've had members of his family confirm to me that in fact he had the same experience, but that he wasn't allowed to speak about it. And it's really unfortunate. Ironically, my uncle, who worked at Grumman and worked on the lunar module, passed away 2 weeks after Neil Armstrong did, but I think it's sort of an open secret in some circles that, in fact, when we first landed on the moon, we weren't alone. And it's certainly known through the Disclosure Project witnesses we have that when we went up there before the lunar landing, we had something called the Lunar Orbiter that went around and took the early digital photographs.
That's
and
right.
there were structures there. And Carl Wolf and other people we have in our Disclosure Project, saw at this NSA facility that was at Langley Air Force Base in Virginia, these images that were clearly showing very old structures on the moon, but also some newer ones. And the structures were in the area called the Terminator, which is the area between the dark and the light part of the moon. It's sort of the twilight area because the moon is sort of fixed and where it is, where you see the light side, the sun hitting one side of it. But I think that this is why when we landed on the moon, they were prepared for the possibility or the likelihood that we may not be alone. And people have asked me, did we actually go to the moon? Yes, we did. But was all the footage of what happened shown to the public? Absolutely not. It was not shown. And I do know of people who have seen that footage, who've been in these classified programs. They're not willing to come out publicly, but they've described pretty much essentially the same thing, that there were multiple huge UFOs that were flying around, but also around and hovering at the edge of the crater of the Sea of Tranquility where we landed. And
Okay, Dr. Greer, you've just about eaten up your 3 hours here, so I think we're going to probably terminate the interview here and go to open lines in a little bit, if that's all right. But you've done a wonderful job. It's sort of point and click. Somebody points at you and you just go, don't you?
Well, I'm very happy to have the opportunity to share the information we've gathered. And once again, if folks want to see a lot of this evidence and material and documents and witness testimonies, they can go to SiriusDisclosure.com. It's SIRIUS Disclosure.com. It's there for anyone to see who wants to look at it. And we're always looking for new people to come forward with more evidence and information. So be in touch.
All right. Thank you, my friend, and we'll do it again.
All right. Thank you.
Take care. All right. That's Dr. Steven Greer. Really a point-and-click kind of guest, huh? You almost wonder where he takes a breath, but he's got an awful lot of information. This is Dark Matter, and we are going to, for the balance of the program, go to open lines. And what that means is anything you want to talk about is fair game, no screened calls. So if you're ready for that, buckle in.
And again, we'll return to Dark Matter as soon as their music bumpers are complete.
Here was an amazing guest. I have never heard anybody able to talk the way he talked without interruption. I have this feeling that when I finally did say something and he was able to, he went and grabbed a breath or something. It was amazing. How can anybody do that? Anyway, here we go. Open lines coming up. Dark Matter, you're on the air.
Wonderful. Well, my name is Tyrone from Sacramento.
Howdy.
How are you?
Turn your radio off, please.
You got it. I wanted to make a comment that
that goes for everybody. Turn your radios off if you're calling.
We have a gentleman that I knew a couple years ago who invented basically a free power machine, and him and his partner basically were swooped up by the government and on trumped up charges essentially of mail fraud, is in prison now for 10 years because of the device that he invented. And he talked with me. He was in our church, and just an outstanding man, very, very brilliant and smart. And it's just sad to see this happen, that when people come up with these brilliant ideas, that the government just really doesn't want it to be brought out to the public. And it's just a sad, sad state of affairs. It really is.
Okay, so he's still in jail?
Oh, yeah. He's dying from cancer right now. And his wife sees his wife about weekly, and I ask, how's he doing? And she goes, well, he'll probably die in there because I'm not going to let him out because of the information that he knows. And she knows all about it, but she's going to be very quiet about it.
So you're saying then that what Dr. Greer said about being threatened, about a bullet with your name on it and all of that stuff is true?
Absolutely true. And I always think, when I spoke to him, I said, just use it for yourself. Don't go around trying to market it, because it's just not the time right now. The timing has to be right. It's a sad thing, I think that idea about the water car that runs on water, I saw that down in the Philippines. It's amazing. I think if more and more of us would do that, it would really make a change.
It would. All right. Thank you very much. Well, it's true. There is a fellow in the Philippines, and he's actually made his design available, claims that he drives around in a car that runs on water. I certainly don't know how it works. I'm just relating the claim to you. I'm not saying it's true. But we've heard these stories again and again and again. There was another one. Somebody who's in jail, dying in jail right now. Dark Matter, you're on the air. Hello.
Hello, Art. This is James. I'm speaking to you from the southern part of Cebu Island in the Philippines. And I just wanted to let you know that I've been a fan of yours since the early 90s.
Wait a minute. No, wait. How would you be hearing me in the Philippines?
I'm listening to you on my Sirius TTR1 internet radio, and I'm speaking to you over an internet telephone.
Wow.
And I can dial any number in the United States, Canada, and Virgin Islands free from this location.
Wow.
And it cost me $28 a month for the service. And
actually, it does sound like we're connected. That's amazing.
Yes,
I'm sorry. What part of the Philippines are you in?
I'm in the southern section of Cebu Island.
Okay, Cebu.
Right.
Very good.
Delegate. I'm over here for a year. I'll be back home for a couple of months in March of next year. And I'm so tickled to have you on the radio again. It's just wonderful. And you've blown us out for two nights. It's absolutely incredible.
Well, it's wonderful to hear from the Philippines. I'm kind of sort of almost a little homesick, so.
Oh, yes, I know all about it.
I almost moved to Cebu. I almost bought a house there, actually.
Oh, really?
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
I know when you left and when you set up your antenna and made them take you down, and you got permission to set it back up again. I know.
That's a true statement.
Yes.
Okay.
Like I said, go ahead, sir.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to let you know I'm so glad you're back on the air, and I listen to you at 10 o'clock in the morning till 2 o'clock in the afternoon here.
Mm-hmm.
This is the 18th, so you know that 12-hour time delay. So
I do.
Of being ahead. So it's so wonderful to talk to you, and keep up the great work for all of us. And
thank you very much, and take care, my friend.
That's thank you, sir.
All the way from the Philippines. Wow. I didn't think he was telling us the truth, but he was. That's pretty cool. That's a neat little town, by the way, Cebu. And I very nearly did end up moving there. Wow. Dark Matter, you're on the air. Hello.
Arch.
Yes.
This is Greg. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Where are you calling from?
Well, right now I'm up in Montana. It's raining.
Okay.
And first off, I'd like to say welcome back from everybody at Belgap, MV, and Saucy Rossi. I think he did some videos for you.
Belgab, indeed. Saucy Rossi, yes, yes, and oh, and boy, are some of them really good too. Did you see the last? Did you see the last one he did?
We were talking about that on the forum, Art, and when I saw it, I went through such a range of emotions, especially when your audio came in and her eyes opened up. It was almost like I was excited. I had tears in my eyes of anticipation. It was unbelievable.
It affected me actually kind of the same way, to be honest with you. It was an amazing piece of work, and it was, of course, contact backwards. And if you haven't seen it yet, you can go to artbell.com, and how's it listed, as Ross's fourth or something like that?
I believe it is, if I can remember right. I'm a little bit sketchy, but I think you're in the ballpark.
Yeah, amazing. Just an amazing talent.
I'll tell you, I spent many years as a young police officer listening to you on the night shifts, and thank God you were there, because some of those nights were long indeed, and you made them bearable. So my hat's off to you.
Thank you.
And also, I just you've got me into ham radio, and I appreciate you for that. And I just want to say hats off to you from everybody from Bell Gab, and welcome from Big Sky Country as well.
Thank you, my friend. Take care. All right. Well, there you have it. What am I going to do about this? Everybody wants to say welcome back. Now, Rush says dittos. Instead of doing all that, I don't know what I can come up with. I'll have to think about it. But let's accept the fact that you all welcome me back and stuff. So I'm not really sure what to do about that. Let's continue until I can think about it a little bit. Hello, Dark Matter, you're on the air. Hello?
Yeah, hi, this is Christopher. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm on the Skype computer, and I don't have much signal here. On the Safeway, I'm already Christopher Christ. Christ is gender specific for Chris and short for Christopher. Solved a couple of problems on the computer, but it caused one great problem. It created a rift.
Okay, Christopher, well, you're on the air, so if you have something to say, fire away.
Yeah, I have a device that can connect me to what I guess the Christians call eternity.
You don't have a gun, do you?
No, its physics is very simple. It has to do with fire and vibration of tuning fork.
And that connects you to eternity?
Yeah. Eternity is a place where Dr. Greer talked about it a little bit. That place is a vibrational, it's not really, it's a holographic place, but it's physical, but it transcends time and space.
Okay.
So when you have...
Okay, this is not going to be a possible conversation because we just have too much delay. Cell phones are bad. Trying to do Skype with a bad connection to a radio show is almost beyond reason. You scared me there for a moment. There are, I guess, various avenues to eternity and scared me. Dark Matter, and you're on the air. Hello.
Hi, Art. This is Larry from Fort Lauderdale.
Hello, Larry.
You might remember. I have three quick things. One, please push XM into putting the channel numbers on the mobile phone devices. It's a good program.
I wonder why they don't do that.
Well, they want everybody to go to names, and I tried to tell them that the red network and blue network didn't work very well. You need numbers, because if you're in your car and you look at 104 and you try to figure out where it's listed, which is under entertainment, under indie, it's a problem. And I think they could find some room to do that, and I think that you're the man to do it. The second thing, real quick, was if you could ever do the phase-shifting version of Ride My Seesaw, that would be awesome. Like we used to hear. I know.
Well, I finally adopted it as a theme, so I'll dig it out one of these days. But
the third thing I wanted to say is that regarding Dr. Steven Greer, the only thing that could probably keep people's lips so sealed and so secretive has to be that they truly believe that it would throw our Bible out the window, and the reason of our very existence would just be so different that it would be so cataclysmic if anybody opened their mouth, because you never could have this many people with that kind of a budget not leaking the Holy Grail or the absolute smoking gun, which would remove all doubt. And it would have to take something of that magnitude for them to keep this thing that secret. And that's
or oil. Look, oil is bigger than you think. I mean, oil is really, really big. We're talking big money. We're talking, we've had wars. Most of our wars, one way or the other, have had something to do with oil. So there is that. And then, as you point out, there's religion. And you're absolutely correct. If the reality of extraterrestrials meant that what we thought we knew about God in the Bible wasn't true, I think everything would rapidly get out of control.
Well, I think that we've been prepared enough to where we wouldn't. I think the Brookings Institute is not the same today as it would have been in the 50s. And I also think a soft landing is possible because it would in fact be gradual. If you took just here in South Florida, the Florida Power and Light Company, if all of a sudden we had a box in our yard and I didn't have to pay $300 and $400 a month, that money would be put back in.
Well, one thing that the market doesn't like is a surprise. You know, every time we've had some sort of surprise, whether it's a war, political leader dying, you know, whatever it is, any kind of surprise, the market takes a beating. If somebody talked about suddenly having free energy, that's a big surprise. I mean, that's so big that I'm not sure there'd be a recovery.
Well, the doctor laid it out. It's one way or the other. If we have global warming and there's water covering my house where I'm at now, that's a pretty surprise. So I tend to go with his method, and I think that we could have a soft landing, and I think that we have to do that.
Okay, well, thank you, and that's a good, intelligent call. I'm asking Dr. Greer about a soft landing, and I'm not sure that I got the answer or an answer that I understood or agreed with. Soft landing. If it was suddenly announced that energy was essentially free, I honestly don't know, folks. I really don't know. I don't think there would be a soft landing. I think there would be a hard crash, actually. All right, we'll break here. We'll continue in the hour with open lines and anything you want to talk about. It's all fair game. No screening of calls. Whatever comes, comes. And that last call was a good one. What do the rest of you think? Soft landing? Possible?
Again, we're muted until our music bumper is over from Dark Matter.
We're in open lines on the screen. Open lines. Dangerous territory, kind of, but interesting territory. So let's continue and see what we find. Good morning, I suspect. You're on Dark Matter.
Hello, old man. This is Tim from Ohio.
Old is right. How you doing?
Not bad. I want to congratulate you on the creation and successful launch of Dark Matter.
Thank you.
And I had a ham radio question for you. I was wondering if you're on D-Star at all yet.
You know, we played around with D-Star. D-Star is a digital form of communication that hams are playing with right now. And I've got to tell you, I was not all that impressed.
Okay, well, it's growing. You had the original reflectors that were created, but there are X reflectors now. I'm not sure if you're aware of that.
No, not.
Yeah, X reflectors are like independent reflectors. They're
okay. Well, we've got to be careful here because a lot of the audience has no idea what we're talking about. It's a kind of a digital form of communication, and you know, it was. I can't help but compare it to regular old FM, and you know.
Right. Well, yeah, it is internet based, but the fun of it is like HF, and I pretty sure you hang on 80 meters. My call is NC8OS, Tim. But when you can sit and RF from your handheld into your DVAP and go out over the internet and talk around the world sitting on your couch on your handheld, as long as you have internet, it's pretty cool, I thought. And it is expensive. That's why a lot of people aren't into it yet, and I agree it's very high priced. But I think it's
okay. Well, see, you just said it. You said it yourself. I mean, it is expensive. It is high priced, and on top of that, I don't like the way it sounds. I'm sorry, but you're right. I'm an old man. Now, old man is an affectionate term that ham radio operators use with each other, and that's how I meant it. But I guess I am old because, to me, traditional FM sounds wonderful. And these newer digital modes, not as much. They hiccup, and, well, it's kind of like comparing cell phone to landline phone. And I know we've talked about this before, but I'm not wild about cell phones. And while I'm on the subject, that can get me going on a rant. I want the cell phone companies, the big ones. Let's start with AT&T, for example. They're really a big one, right? Increase the bandwidth, folks. Let's hear pin drops again on cell phones. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Wouldn't it be absolutely astronomically wonderful to hear a pin drop on a cell phone again? This company that does it is going to get my money. I will switch providers like that. Comes up with a good sounding cell phone. Sorry, get me going on that. And anyway, Dark Matter, you're on the air. Hi.
Hey, Art. This is Nathan calling from Oregon.
Nathan.
Wanted to ask you, first of all, thanks for taking my call. First-time caller, long-time listener. Wanted to ask you where you're at with the Luciferian Agenda. Some things that Dr. Kaku alluded to last evening made us curious where you were at personally with that. Luciferian Agenda.
When did he reference that last night?
Well, he didn't reference it last night. He talked about some things that made us suspect that he may be in a position to know things that...
What was it he said that made you suspect that?
I'm having trouble remembering specifically.
Mm-hmm. All right. Instead of Dr. Kaku, let's just talk about the Luciferian Agenda, whatever that is. What is the Luciferian Agenda?
Well, the Luciferian Agenda seems to be certain things in society breaking and moving according to a design that is not necessarily organic and one that is not necessarily benevolent. So some people might call it a shadow government. There's different boxes I think that it can fit into. But with everything that's happened in what it has been, 3 to 5 years that you've been off the air,
yes.
What we want to know is where you are personally with it and what you would speak to that might be indicative of that sort of agenda in place.
Okay. It's an interesting question. Thank you very much. And I'll try and address it as best I can. The Luciferian Agenda. Well, obviously the implication is he's talking about Lucifer, right? Lucifer controlling matters here on Earth. I don't know. I don't necessarily buy it. I think that we're pretty much controlling matters. I said it earlier in the show tonight. These shootings are continuing and continuing and seemingly getting more and more and more every day you wake up and you're afraid to turn on CNN or Fox or, whatever your preference is. Al Jazeera. Any one of them you turn on and suddenly there's 10 or 12 people dead or, God forbid, students shot or whatever. It makes one think about a Luciferian agenda. I think it's us. What's going wrong? Us. I also think my comment toward the beginning of the show was fair, and that is that instead of controlling guns, we need to control people who are hearing voices. Seems to me that if you've got a secret clearance in the armed services, and you're going to, psychiatrists, or going in for help because you hear voices, that there shouldn't have to be a lot more outpatient kind of treatment. At the point you hear voices, you should be cared for until you don't hear voices any longer. This just doesn't seem complicated to me. Now, I know that the people on CNN are going to rage about gun control now. Just really going to have a heyday the way they did last time and every time. And it just gets more and more and more and more. To me, it seems simple. Take care of the people who hear the voices and who seek psychological counseling and who display the kind of behavior that leads one to take a gun and to go into a secure facility and begin killing people, and you take care of them. Dark Matter, you're on the air. Hello.
Hey, Art Bill. So I was
Hey.
going to see, maybe want to hang up. Maybe you could talk about the weather in the Philippines and what that's like. But I wanted to tell you a quick story.
I'm not in the Philippines right now, so I have no idea. But I can be fairly confident in saying that it's warm and humid, sir.
Okay, that's what I meant. I just meant in general. But I had a story where we were trying to destroy this guy's life in our neighborhood. We wanted to run him out of our neighborhood, and we got into it with the guy. Well, it was the guy was doing drugs in the house over there, and it really wasn't our business. It was a kind of a family, golf course type community there. But this guy had called us and told us the guy who bought the house in over there, he does drugs, and I'll help you run him out. I know how to run him out because I ran him out of our neighborhood and all this. And so anyway, we ended up getting into it with this guy, and he ends up running one of our friends out instead because he runs him out. So instead, we come up with a plan, go into the guy's house and put hidden cameras, film him using the drug and doing stuff so we can then blackmail him, not only blackmail, but humiliate him and make him get out of the neighborhood.
Okay.
So we did it.
That seems like a dangerous path, but
Well, it was war. It was war because he ran our buddy out, and it was like we were desperate. We started up with this guy, and he wasn't leaving, and now he was keying up on us. We had to do something, and we kind of panicked by doing this. But we basically go into his house. We didn't have to break in. We actually had our locksmith buddy come over and make locks for the entire house, basically to get in and out of the house whenever we wanted to. Because the video that we saw of the guy using drugs and doing the drugs was so entertaining that we didn't want him to leave at that point. We started showing it to our neighbors on a pay-per-view basis and started selling it to everybody in the neighborhood, and then it spread from our subdivision to the next subdivision. And we set up an account for him. All right, we set up an account for him minus our expenses, of course. And this went on for a long time until, basically he figured it out. People would recognize him in the community, but it was a big secret that he would come home and do the drugs, and so it's a very long story.
So he knew. Wait a minute. He knew he was being televised.
Well, at a point, he realized, because people knew him, he went to the store, and people would recognize him. We told people to shut up and don't look at him, and all this, but he eventually kind of figures out, and he stops doing the drugs. I mean, he goes cold turkey. He knows people are watching him, and so then we have this money's been piling up in here, surreptitiously, and so then we decide, because people start fading away and we weren't making the money, and so then we decide to buy the note on the guy's house, and then we basically, because he was a contractor, we just took over his life with the jobs that we would get, and then we stopped paying him. We stopped paying him for the job, and we'd only pay him a little bit, or we'd string it out, we'd get him to buy materials, then we'd screw him, and so eventually he lost the house.
So before you know it, he's got a bullet with your name on it, right?
No, because we're doing this very carefully. His friends are in on this, but they're not helping him. The house goes into foreclosure. We make him homeless. Now people come back because now they have this guy that we created that's worth millions of dollars, but now we've made him homeless and he's living on the streets. So then that became the show. And everybody who got involved wanted to be part of it. Everybody from the Circle K store guys to people on the streets and it went on and made record amounts of money for anything. Only about 5% of the American people even know this is going on.
Wait. Where was the money coming from? People were paying to see the next episode of Mr. Druggy?
Yeah. Yeah. And, well, it was much more than that. I mean, it started out like that. It started out with this tweaked out guy bouncing around in his house with the lights off because he didn't want his neighbors to know he was up all night. And we had little laser lights in there. We'd be up in his attic. He'd be tweaked out.
Okay, I've got it. I just can't imagine people paying for an episode of somebody, sitting over in the corner with the lights out, as he pointed out, stoned out of his mind. Great video. That's great stuff. Yes, sir. Well, maybe this is the age of reality TV, right? Dark Matter, you're on the air. Hello.
Hey, Art. Kyle from Portland, Oregon.
Hey there.
I was just wondering with the new show if you have any plans on picking up your old tradition now that it's getting close to Halloween with the ghost shows.
Somebody else had last night. Yes, of course. We'll do ghost on Halloween. Yeah. We'll do ghost stories from the audience on Halloween. You can depend on it.
Perfect. Well, thanks a lot, Art. I appreciate it.
Oh, that's it, huh? All right. Thank you very much, and take care.
You too.
Let's see if we can go directly to this line and say you're on Dark Matter. Hi.
Hey, what's up, Art? Welcome back.
Thank you. You're up at the moment.
Good. My name's Greg. I'm calling from Philly.
Right.
And I just wanted to know if you plan on doing any shows with shadow people.
I would love to do a show with a shadow person, sir. All they've got to do is march in and actually say something. They're joking with you. I mean, you're obviously asking, am I going to do a show about shadow people?
Yes. I saw one as a kid in a childhood house, and I think you may have done a program before on it. It was really interesting.
I think I started the program on shadow people. Do you think you can explain to people what shadow people are?
Well, I just know from my own experience as a kid, like when I would sleep in my childhood room in my hallway, I would see a shadowy figure look like a taller gentleman with like a trench coat and a hat on, and similar to the same figure that numerous other people have seen, which is kind of eerie.
Okay, now I haven't seen that. I know that other people have seen, and that's the classical, I believe, description of a shadow person, the hat and the trench coat and all the rest. I've not seen that. What I have seen, though, are shadow figures. In other words, in your peripheral vision, every now and then you will see movement. Everybody's had it. Almost everybody's had it.
Right.
And that's the best I've had. I've definitely seen movement that scared the hell out of me, to be honest with you. But at the corner of my vision. And it's never gone further than that. I've never had a talk with a shadow person. Now, if you can corral one for me, I'd love to interview them.
Yeah. Well, thank you, man. Welcome back. Yeah,
thank you. Thank you very much. Sure, I bet the rest of you had that experience, right? Seeing that movement in the corner of your eye? Is it something? Is it something real? Is it just a trick of the eye? Well, I suppose sometimes it is. Sometimes it may be another life form that you're seeing with your peripheral vision, moving in and out of this existence, that quickly. Hello there. This is Dark Matter, and you're on the air.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello, Art. How you doing?
Okay.
Man, you know what? I've been trying for 15 years to get a hold of you, and I can't believe I'm talking to you now, which is cool. But anyway.
15 years of effort.
Yeah, and then now you come back, and guess what? I got 6 XMs that I was going to cancel out that I listened coast to coast on. And, man, it's really cool to talk to you now. I can't believe it.
I'm glad you're here. What's up?
Nothing much, man. I had a story to tell you about a Twilight Zone Outer Limits of the third kind that I experienced when I first found out about you back in '96, in the spring of '96. But it's a long story, but if I ever get to talk to you, I'll tell it to you. But it's just good to hear you, Art, and it's good to hear you that you're back again.
All right, my friend. Thank you very much for the call. After 15 years, the man calls, and he had a story all set, and then decided not to tell it after 15 years of effort. You're on Dark Matter. Hello.
Art,
Hey.
very long time listener. Back all the ways to the EWN days.
Oh, that's a long way.
Way back. Basically, I grew up with you, my friend.
Okay, well, welcome.
I know. I don't want to spend too much time on welcoming you back. Everybody else has done that.
Thank you.
God knows it's good to have you back. I want to talk to you maybe a little bit about what's going on in your life now. Are you a full-time resident in Pahrump or back and forth still?
Well, good question. Full-time in Pahrump because my daughter is in school now, so that kind of, settles you in a little bit, but we'll still go to the Philippines every now and then.
So this could turn into a regular gig for you. Maybe we'll keep it at, what is it now, 4 nights a week?
It is, yes.
Great. You could run that schedule for a while. Got tons of committed listeners. We just need to get the word maybe out a little bit.
Oh, the word.
I don't want
it'll leak out.
I don't want to diss the current coast to coast, but
no, don't.
They lost a lot of listeners.
Well, you know what happened is that over time it changed. Sort of, I might suggest it lost focus a little bit and changed.
Well, of course it changed, and the big change was you, and the style wasn't your style anymore. I don't care what wacky guests you had on all those years. You were never afraid to confront them. You were never afraid to ask them the real question. And you never sugarcoated it or, let them,
Yeah, I try not to do any of that. Yeah, I don't like sugarcoating. I like to get right to the heart of the matter, whatever the matter is, and just do it.
And if it's, you gave everybody their chance, and everybody can stand to speak. But if it was something that was completely whack, I wasn't afraid to call them.
No, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to call anybody on anything that is completely whack.
You never were. Unfortunately, the show took a different direction, and they lost a bunch of committed listeners.
Well, it did. Yes, it did. But on the other hand, the host who takes over has the right to take the show in any direction he or she wishes. It's their show. Now, yes, the show took a different direction. You know what? I don't really want to comment much more on that, but I think you all are sort of with me and understand, right? Dark Matter, you're on the air.
Dittos, Art. Dean from Kalamazoo, Michigan.
I wonder if we could steal that from Rush.
Why not?
Maybe there's no other answer. Dittos would work.
I was trying to save time.
I hate to ask, but what kind of phone are you on?
I'm sorry, it's Samsung smartphone. Not so smart.
It's terrible. Terrible.
I know. It's all I had available.
Sounds like you're on a speakerphone that's on the other side of the bathroom.
An empty conference room, but
An empty conference room, okay, that'll do.
All right. I have two very quick UFO stories. I tried to tell you 15 years ago, but now I got my chance. I've always been interested in UFOs. My dad was a logger up north in the UP of Michigan, and he always kind of dissed me and thought that was kind of a bunch of waste of time. And I was surprised one morning about 5 a.m. he woke me up. This guy, you got to understand, never smoked, never drank. UFOs are bunk. Everything was bunk to him. And he was sitting out on his truck in the woods at nearly 5, and he heard a noise behind him. It was one of those big logging trucks. They got the big crane, the hand that picks up the logs and puts them in the back of the truck.
Oh yeah.
So he turns around and he looks, and he knows the area well. It's dark, but he knows the area well.
and there's an open area. There was a little lake there, and that's where the noise is coming from. He turns and looks, and out from the gap, you can't tell it came from the water, but water was dripping from it, was a 15-foot object, which was just with lights going around, just kind of like a helicopter lights, so they're kind of going on and off, but it's a round circular object. Thing just came out of the water, dripping, hovered there for a second, just off it went. And he, of course, knowing I was interested, rushed back, get me to, tell the story to me and brought me out there. No trace of anything. But for me, although I'd always wanted to see a UFO, I thought, well, this is proof, because if my dad saw one, it got to be real, because this guy just didn't have, to be honest.
Okay, but it was your dad, not you, right?
It was my dad. That was
okay. Well, all right, here's the deal, folks. I appreciate the story, but it was secondhand. I know close at hand with your dad. But if you ever see one yourself, it's going to change your life. I understand people joke about this and make light of it, and I've heard the other radio hosts just, really goofing on it. But the fact of the matter is, if you have a real experience, I had one, your own eyes, close enough that you feel like you could touch it, it will change your life. You will go into sort of a period of shock. You will even go into denial about what you saw, but there is no question about it. In my case, it was a triangle. It was immediately above my head. It was floating, not flying. It couldn't have been doing more than 45 miles an hour. It was deadly silent, so silent you could hear crickets a quarter of a mile away. It was a real McCoy. And once you have seen this, you can't go back. So I appreciate the story, but I appreciate first-person stories more. They're very impactful. Hearing stories about my brother who saw one or my dad who saw one, while interesting, not quite the same. Dark Matter, and you're on the air.
Hey, Art, this is Blair in Sedona.
Hey there.
I was listening to a show you did with Dr. Steven Greer back in 2004 when you had the ABC film cameras in. Remember that Peter Jennings? Yeah.
Yes, of course I remember.
Yeah, and then you played a metallic-sounding man's voice that says, "Don't mess into government matters," too. And
no, I didn't. No, I didn't. Just so you know, I didn't play any voice.
Well, no, you played a recording that Dr. Greer had sent you that was on his phone.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
he's been threatened. People who deal in this kind of thing get threatened. It's the truth. A lot of people scoff at it, don't believe it, but it's true.
Well, now, how long ago was it that we had this rash of microbiologists being killed? I got up to about 500 of them. Remember that part?
I'm not sure if it was 500, but it was a lot.
It was a lot. So here, so they're telling, I'm using the word they, microbiologists, you take notice. Now, your life is at risk unless you don't play ball, and now they're doing this with the disclosure, folks. So it sounds to me like they want to have a population reduction, mass one, before this will be released. What do you think, Art?
I think they want to have an information reduction.
Oh, the other direction. So we're going into de-evolution then, huh?
Well, in a way. Now, let me ask you, if you had information of the type that Dr. Greer has, and somebody came into your home and calmly but forcefully said to you, "Here it is, sir. This is a bullet, and it's got your name on it. Open your mouth again." And not just your life, but that of your family and people you care about will be snuffed out. Either that or you shut your mouth. What would you do?
My heart says, go through with it, because here I'm a single guy, no wife, no kids, but, and I have my dad died. Well, I'm 62. I'm collecting Social Security. I just started collecting Social Security just this month.
Congratulations, but you're not answering the question. The bullet has your name on it and your family's name on it. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I guess you'd have to say I have to think of my family over my my stuff first and allow that to shut myself up, and then maybe write it down somewhere.
All right, sir. All right, I've got to go. You answered the question. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Sunshine.
I don't know if that's their end bumper or not, but I am muting it just so we do not hopefully get a copyright strike. I'm monitoring the pulse waves.
No idea where the time has gone. Holy mackerel.
No, it was just the music bumper.
Time goes like that. So, I don't know. Let's punch this one. Hi there, Dark Matter, and you're on the air.
This is Tom in Lee County, New Mexico.
Hey, Tom.
And just this past weekend, we had our 40th high school class reunion. And also 4 years ago, this past summer, is when I had my first experience with a UFO. We're 100 miles from Roswell.
Yes, sir.
And there's 4 of us out driving around in my 72 Monte Carlo, straight out of high school. We go out to the cemetery and look at this saying on the tombstone, where I am now, you shall be, was the end of the saying. But anyway, we're driving back to the highway, and we see some stars out in the distance, or the guys in the car did. We said, hey, those stars are moving. And I said, nah, they're not. And I kept driving down the road. I got to looking, and they were sitting up there doing the zigzag thing. So we drove on across the highway, pulled over, and sure enough, one of them stayed out there and started zigzagging. One of them came right up on us, went across the road, went back over, scared the other guys. They all ran back, got in the car. I stood out there. He tilted over. I could see in the cockpit. And now that I've watched a lot of Discovery Channel.
What was the shape of this thing? You said cockpit. What was the shape?
It was a disc. A disc with a glass cockpit on top.
Okay.
And, and I've told people about this before, like I said, it happened 4 years ago. I'm 58 now. And every year, this time of year, I go, yeah, they'll be back. And I keep looking for them, but it hadn't happened. Anyway, I was in my mechanics, getting a fuel pump put in my pickup not long ago, and was telling him about it. He said, that rancher out there on Arkansas Junction said he used to have mutilated cattle out there.
Mm-hmm.
And that just kind of confirmed my thing. But what I was going to get back to, after all these years of watching the Discovery Channel and all that stuff on TV,
right,
looking in that cockpit, it looked, I think now, that the guy in there was a human being from White Sands or Holloman over there in Alamogordo. And it was a U.S. Air Force pilot in a high-altitude suit.
And so you're saying you definitely saw a human being in this craft?
No, I saw something in what I think now was a high-altitude suit that the U-2 pilots wore and the pilots in the SR-71s wore.
Right, but the implication is it was a human being in the suit.
Yes, that's what I think now. Back then I did not know. I thought it was an alien craft, but as I've grown older and seen more things, and human eyewitnesses accounts aren't good, but I had one. But my mind has taken me to that point now that I think it was a human being in the craft.
Well, it doesn't much matter one way or the other whether it was a human being in that craft, which is obviously secret, very, very secret, over on the other side. We were talking about two governments earlier. This one would be way over in the black area. So that's really interesting if we've developed that kind of anti-gravity technology. Think about it.
In 1973.
Then we would have everything that Dr. Greer talked about tonight. We'd have... We'd have energy for the world. That means that they've really got it. They're really holding it. And so everything Dr. Greer said was true.
Yeah, I've been researching Dr. Greer here lately, and, we're kind of the same age, and I've listened to some of his stuff, and, he talks about extraterrestrial craft and human craft.
So either way you look at it, either way, sir, either way, it's a gigantic story, right?
You're right, yeah. And I'm also an old guy. And you talk about soft landing, we cannot have a soft landing if you crash the oil market. Our economy depends on it.
I do agree with that, and I listen, thank you. We're way out of time. Thank you very much for the call. I agree with you. We're not going to have a soft landing if this really happens.
Yeah, and I grew up.
The markets are going to crash. Dogs and cats are going to get along, and I just don't think it's going to work. But I'm here, and as she said, I'm listening. See you tomorrow night. Good night, all.
And, of course, we're on mute because of copyright restrictions. But that was our first Dark Matter episode, the precursor to Midnight in the Desert, with Dr. Steven Greer on that particular episode, as we win another fight in the arena. And one update here. Our new percentage of goal is, drumroll please, 44.98%. Thank you all very much. Let's keep it rocking, keep it rolling, and keep it moving. We can get that goal and get Boxy and Nexters to pay attention. Alright, I know it's a little early, but I'm going to let everybody, get off to sleep here to enjoy themselves for this day. So, as Art would say, from the high desert, from Dominion, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to get us to those goals for Boxy and Nexters of 5,000 views and 1,000 subscribers for YouTube. So they start paying attention, sending us items, and we can send them to you. Of course, Coinbase is below. Follow those steps. Get your $10 free for signing up. And then CoinBase Earn lessons. Less than 2-minute lessons. 1-question quizzes to get yourself up to another $100 in crypto. And until we meet tomorrow, it's always a great new world to release the Krakens. Have a great night, everybody, from day one. Like, share, and subscribe.